What's going on, you car nerds? I've been seeing a lot of people having issues installing these Maxpeedingrods Coilovers in their second gen Eclipse or Talon DSM. So I was going to give you a quick how-to on how I got it done without breaking anything. Now I'm not an auto mechanic, I'm an industrial mechanic, so take that for what it is. And all of these second generation DSMs are all identical, whether you have a GS, GSX, GST, it should be the same exact install. So today we're working on a 1998 Eclipse GSX, affectionately known as Monica, if you were curious. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, to remove the old coilovers, you will need to remove the 17mm nut and cotter pin holding this outer tie rod all joint in here. And go ahead and hammer it on the flat side. You don't want to hammer on the ball joint itself, you want to hammer what it goes through. And Mitsubishi kindly left this flat spot to hammer on, so remove that, as well as the 17mm nut on the top ball joint here. And you just hammer on the side of that one until it comes loose. I had these apart before, so they did come loose fairly easily, so sorry if you live in the Rust Belt. Now, there is another one here on the bottom. I don't know if it's not a ball joint, sorry. This is an 18mm on mine. I don't know if that is actually standard size or not, I can't confirm. Just go ahead and remove that on the lower control arm. That should fall loose, and then you have, of course, the 3 nuts on the top holding in the top of the coilover. Now the trick here is to try to maneuver the wishbone so that it gets behind this bushing. If you just tap each of those legs back, and then you'll be able to push up on the upper control arm and tilt it the top back until it comes out. It will take a little finesse to make that work. Alright, so once you get it on the bench and removed from the car, this bolt comes out pretty easily. If you do live in the Rust Belt, you might need a little time to let that penetrating oil soak in, but mine came out really easy. I just used a little Milwaukee Impact. It's not even the fuel, so it came out quite easily. If you're curious, reinstalling that bolt, from what I've read on the forums, is 51 foot-pounds for those trying to do it properly. Alright, so here comes the more difficult spot. You will need some gloves, something to protect you from the heat. Now here is where a lot of people have tried to spread this shackle apart forcibly and ended up breaking it, from what I've seen on some videos and postings. This is where the difficult part is. So what you're going to need is to heat this up, and I'm going to show you this in real time so you understand how long I took heating it up and everything, so you get a feel for that. Yeah, make sure you have your coil ready, not like I did and have to prop this up. Not a good idea having an open flame propped up like that. Yeah, so make sure you have it ready. So with your pry bar, you want to go ahead and add some force to this. I'm really not applying a lot of force. This is going to be pretty gentle. You want to open it up gradually. If you can't see, the heat is expanding it open just slightly. It's kind of a gradual opening, but the heat is doing it on its own. But just to help it along a little bit, you can insert a pry bar here and just give it a little bit of force. Again, not much. It doesn't take a whole lot to spread this open. when you start to get a little bit more heat on it, you can be a little more aggressive in prying it open. But again, I wouldn't use excessive force here. You will end up breaking that shackle. It's not super thick. So once you feel you've got it heated up and spread enough, quickly grab the coil, try to get it in there. If you can get it down to the first notch, go ahead and let it out of the vise. I found it's much easier rather than struggling just to hammer it in on the end like this. It slips right in. I had difficulty getting it in while it was still in the vise, so that worked out pretty well. And you don't need to get the shackle all the way up. As you can see, there is a recess here for the bolt to go through and a gap. So you don't want to hammer that shackle flush against the body of the coil right there, so make sure you leave that gap. It should line up about flush with the bottom, as you can see here, rather than the top. Now if you do go too far, you might have to clamp this back so that your bolt will line up on both sides and be able to thread it back in. So just go ahead and clamp this part back together in your vise or whatever you might have to clamp it. And now once you have this installed, you probably don't want to remove it, but as you notice, you can adjust the ride height while the shackle is on. So no worries there, you can still set whatever height you want and everything. But it really isn't that complicated, just a little heat so that you don't break that shackle and spread it open. But hope you guys enjoyed and hope this helps some people out. Thanks for watching.